Hey everybody, welcome back to Navig8tor University. I'm your coach Dietrich Williams with Navig8tor Coaching. And last time I talked about the 4 personality profiles of the buyer. Today we're going to switch gears and talk about the 4 personality profiles of a seller. Now, the names that I'm going to use for each of those personality profiles remain the same. And a lot of what you're going to hear is pretty much the same, just on the seller side. So let's first talk about the pilot. Now, if you're going in a listing presentation and you're talking to a pilot, you don't want to bring in a ton of information because they're going to tune out. These are people that are very straightforward in their approach. They want a couple of bullet points and then they're ready to make a decision because they're all about results. They're very results oriented. So you have to come in, no nonsense, a couple of bullet points, and tell them exactly what it is that they're going to get out of all of this. Now, most pilots are going to want to know 3 things. How much are we going to sell it for, and how much am I going to get once the sale is done? How long is it going to take to get this thing done? And then how are you going to do it? How are you going to find that buyer? And so those are the things that you want to focus on. Now, you can bring in the CMAs, but don't bring in CMAs where you have 20 to 30 comps. Bring in maybe 5 comps and use that as a baseline because you want them to be involved in the process of deciding what the price is going to be. Now, because they're pilots, most of them are going to be ego driven. So they're probably going to want the highest sale in the neighborhood. That might not be the best thing in terms of trying to get that sale done quickly because they may have delusions of grandeur. Now, you don't want to tell them that, but you may want to put caveats within the contract itself that says, if we don't sell at this price that you want by X number of days or this many days, whatever the case may be, then Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, you agree to do a price amendment. So you can always write that language into the contract. The next profile for the seller that we're going to talk about is the flight attendant. Now remember, these are people that are very energetic. They're all about the experience, all about having fun, right? So when you come into the listing presentation, again, you don't want to bore them with a whole bunch of details and analysis. You want to engage with them. So you want to be highly energetic, but not so much that it appears fake or phony, because they'll be able to spot that from a mile away. But you want to be energetic. You want to ask them things about the house that made them fall in love with the house and even fall in love with the neighborhood. If they have children, you want to ask them questions like, what was it like raising children in this house? So you want to reel them in by being more personable. Now, you're going to have to be very careful with this, because if you talk to a flight attendant and get all chummy, buddy, they will talk your ear off for the next hour, 2 hours, perhaps 3 hours if you let them. So you're going to have to reel them back in to discuss business. Now, these are people that you could probably hard close and have them sign the contract before you leave. But again, you want to make sure that you're not being too personal with them, because if you are, they're going to suck up a lot of your time, and your time is very valuable. But you want to be personable enough that they feel that they can trust you, that you're warm and inviting, and they're ready to sign with you just because of your bubbly personality. The next type of seller that you're going to deal with is called the grounds crew. Now remember, the grounds crew move at a little bit slower pace. They're very supportive in what they do. They have dreams and goals that they want to accomplish, but they like to accomplish them around people, in groups of people. So you're going to have to give them lots of data for them to make their decision. And if you can involve their family in the decision, that's even better. But you have to come prepared to give the listing presentation. So a very detailed proposal. You want to have social proof to show that you've done this before. So if you have testimonials, that goes a long way, because believe it or not, these are the type of people that will Google you and look you up online to see how many Zillow reviews you have, to see what you've done. Have you sold any homes in their neighborhood before? Do you understand the neighborhood? They're going to want to know all of these things, because at first they're not really going to be very trusting, right? But if you can build rapport with them, so we talk about mirror and matching, remember tonality, pace of speech, all of those things. If you can get them into the data, build rapport with them, and give them time to make the decision. So don't try to get them to sign on the dotted line right then and there when you're doing the listing presentation. But you want to schedule a follow-up maybe 24 or 48 hours later where they've had time to go through the information and time to talk to family members and make a decision. The last personality profile we're going to talk about for the seller side is called the air traffic controller. Now, these are your analytics. Remember, these are people that are highly analytical, very detail oriented. They seem to be perfectionists. They have a fear of making mistakes. And because of this, they're going to vet all of the information that you share in your listing presentation. They're going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. So you want to give them plenty of comps to choose from. You want to show them how the numbers get derived. You want to go over your entire marketing plan, how you're going to find the buyer, the avatar for that perfect buyer for their home. You want to give them as much information as you possibly can and go through it very detailed, right? So this listing presentation may take you an hour or maybe a little bit longer, and that's okay. This is what they want. They're craving this because remember, their fear is making a mistake. So you have to assuage those fears that they're making the right decision, that this is the time to sell, and what will happen if they decide to hold off. The penalties or the consequences that could happen if they decide to hold off on the sale and don't get this thing done now rather than later. So again, these are people that are similar to the grounds crew. You don't want to hard sell them because they need time to make the decision, but they're also like pilots. They're very task oriented. So don't come in there trying to be all buddy like the flight attendant. Really stick to business and give them the information that they want and answer all of their questions. They need time to ask questions, and you better be sure to answer all of those questions as detailed as possible. So there you have it, the 4 personality profiles of a seller. If you want to win every listing, please make sure that you learn the language of each of these personality profiles so you know exactly what to do in any given situation. I want you to go out there and win every listing. Don't worry about what other agents are doing. Focus on what you're doing, how to do it better, how to do it more effectively and more efficiently. And the reason is because we dominate. We don't compete.